Hey everybody, good Wednesday morning. Yeah, it's Wednesday already, the 22nd of May. Tomorrow's a double graduation, if you will. My soon to be 6-year-old nephew is graduating out of kindergarten, and my soon to be 18-year-old nephew is graduating out of high school. Sorry about that. I like to lift the yogurt off the top. Anyway, yeah, they're both kind of graduating, so you get sort of a double graduation, if you will, tomorrow. Ooh, hot. Coffee's hot. But yeah, we sort of have a double graduation situation tomorrow. Anyway, you see the video down below, you see the title down below. Now, I've talked about this twice already, extensively reading off a lot of what CNET had to say, as well as last night talking about the biggest faults that I found with the Xbox One being the fact that there's no backwards compatibility and that there's no backwards compatibility, and the fact that you got to pay a fee if you want to play a used game. And basically, once again, talking about that fee situation, it's more or less when you have a game, you put it onto your PC, like say StarCraft or something. You have to type in the code and all that and install it. And after you've done installing it, you could either still use the CD or the disc to play the game, or you could take the disc out and just play the game as it is. Play the game on the PC without it because it's already installed. And essentially, that's what you can do with the Xbox One. But the other reason is so that it ties your account to that specific game. In other words, when you type in the code, it will get sent to the Xbox Live, to the Microsoft Xbox Live Cloud storage, and they will be able to identify that game that code that just got entered will be tied to your account. Now, here's one thing that both Alpha Omega Sin and Angry Joe, and I'm sure several others looked at or kind of talked about yesterday, and that is, with the announcement of the Xbox One, who has the advantage now? Who has the advantage currently and upcoming? Does the Wii U, despite the fact that it's been out for half a year now, or a little less than half a year, does it have the advantage over Xbox One and PS4? Or does the PS4 have the advantage over the Wii U and the Xbox One? Or should we wait till E3 before we give final judgment to the Xbox One? I'm sure a lot of us, and obviously I've seen it here on YouTube, read it on Google, and I'm sure a lot of you have too. A lot of people are not too happy with what was presented yesterday. Essentially, one thing they're not happy with is the name. Because essentially what Microsoft is doing is saying, hey, our new Xbox console is going to be everything you need in an entertainment system, in a gaming and entertainment system, and that's it. Essentially, they're saying that, hey, you need a cable box with DVR, we got it right there. Stuff like that. It's like, hey, you need a cable box with DVR, we got it right there. Or you want a Ruco that's going to have all your streaming stuff, we got it right there. Along with the fact that you can play games with or without the disc, just like on a PC, hey, we got it right here. And if that's not all, what really kind of gets people a little ticked off is the fact that Connect, or Connect 2 as people are calling it, K2 if you will, is going to be bundled with every new Xbox One. And essentially be required to be part of Xbox One for it to even operate, from what some reports have said. Now you might say, well, they're making a big fuss about, all this and all that and blah blah blah. Why the big fuss? Why the big fuss? Well, the big fuss is because of the fact of essentially Microsoft is basically what it is. The big fuss is essentially they look at Microsoft as saying, hey, we still focus on the game. We're still a game. Our Xbox is still a game-centered console, but we want to make it more than that. We want to prove that you can not just play games, but at the same time, you could Skype, you could watch live events on television, courtesy of your cable company, or even our little, television situation, or a little television service, if you will, or whatever they're doing. You could do all that, and you could still play your games. Now, a lot of people look at this and say, well, wait a minute. We sort of have that with the Wii U. It's like it's like people are saying, hey, we may not like how the Wii U was presented, we may not like how the Wii U looks, or even the fact that it's just an upgrade from the Wii to be in 1080p, but they're already giving us the option with the Wii U controller, the tablet, if you will, to where if our parents, or our brothers, or our mothers, or our wives, or even our kids want to watch television, we could still play the game on the controller. You know what I mean? Basically, that's the one thing they're looking at. They're saying we could do that right now with the Wii U controller. It's no big deal. It's no big news. But apparently what Microsoft's rolling out is saying, hey, you can do things on multiple screens while this is happening. It's like in one screen you can watch live television, another screen you can Skype, another screen you can see your fantasy stuff and all that. Well, on the big center screen you can play your game, or you can watch television. So in other words, even though people might say, well, that's not a big deal, there shouldn't be a big fuss about that, it is a bit of a big fuss to a lot of people, because it's like Microsoft, in their eyes, is moving away from what put them on the map with the Xbox. They're basically moving the Xbox away from being a game-centric console to being a game-centric console, but focusing more now on the entertainment of streaming movies and stuff like that. So again, when a lot of people point that out, the question is now asked, who has the advantage, past and present, or past, or currently and upcoming? Who has the advantage? And, some people will say that the Wii U has the advantage, because it is mostly a game-centric system. Yes, it does do some video streaming, it does do YouTube, it does do Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, and it has their own Nintendo TV. We get that. But besides some of those features, it's mostly game-centric. It's more of a game-central system. Now, some would say, no. The upcoming PS4 has the advantage. They're the ones that are going to be the conquerors of these new next-gen wars. They're the ones that are going to dominate over Wii U and Xbox One, because because basically they have everything, if not more, of what Xbox One was presented with the exception that they're more game-centric than the predecessor. Yeah, so basically they're more game-centric than the PS3. That's what they're saying. And even Angry Joe said this. He said, if PS4, with the fact of what they presented, even though we haven't seen the console yet, even though with what they presented proves that they're more game-centric with their system, with their upcoming console, that if they basically free up PSN, the PlayStation Network Premium, and make it free or make it so affordable that basically anybody with a PS4 could get a premium membership, that would be, in his eyes, the final blow to Microsoft in the gaming industry. But is that true? You see, the one disadvantage, because you see, the one advantage, as many people hate to hear this, that Xbox One and even Wii U have, is the fact that they've already showcased and displayed what the consoles are going to look like. In fact, many homes right now have the freaking Wii U. And everybody pretty much has got a glimpse of what the Xbox One's going to look like, or will look like, when it comes out later this year during the holidays, and by the end of this year be in the homes of almost, probably, I don't know, 30 million, 50 million consumers, in my estimation. Or 500 million consumers, maybe, I don't know. That's the advantage they have, and that's the disadvantage Sony has, because even though people are praising Sony right now in the PS4, we've not seen what the console looks like yet. Eventually, I understand we will. I don't know if we'll find out more, we'll find and see what it's going to look like at E3, or before then. Excuse me. Like I said, we may not know what it's going to look like, what the console will look like until either before or during E3. See, that's the disadvantage Sony has. We can praise the fact that what they've told us about it is a positive of it being more game-centric. But do we know what the console looks like? We've seen what the controller looks like. We pretty much have an idea of what the motion sensor is going to be like with the camera and all that. But we don't know yet what the console itself is going to look like. We don't know that yet. I mean, I'm sure we've already got the specifications. I think we have. I think I talked about that once. But we don't know what the console looks like, and that's the disadvantage that Sony has right now. Because right now, Xbox, and we pretty much know what the Xbox One and the Wii U look like. We don't know what the PS4 looks like. Now, another thing that kind of a lot of fans pretty much feel that even though they haven't seen it, haven't even seen the PS4 console yet, but believe they have an advantage over Xbox One with, as well as with Nintendo's Wii U, is the fact that the Xbox One is big. I mean, when you take a look at the slimmed down Xbox 360, when you take a look at my Xbox that you've seen in some of my videos, this thing is freaking big. it's probably a little bit bigger, if not the same size as mine, if not a little bit bigger. In fact, one person, I think it was Andre of the Black Nerd videos, basically said it's like you're taking your DVR of your cable box DVR, putting a TiVo or Roku on top, putting maybe I don't know, maybe a hard drive or 2 Netflix cards, if you will, or DVDs, if you will, or Blu-rays on the side, maybe 2 or 3 on the side, and essentially you've got the size of the Xbox One. Now, should they have slimmed it down? No doubt about it. They should have slimmed it down, but apparently what they've done, and I said this before in the extensive video that I did, is basically they've taken all the components that they consider the best, put them all into the system, as well as taking the best of what they had with the slimmed down Xbox 360 and said, hey, we're going to incorporate that into our Xbox One. And basically the reason for it is it's got a lot, the reason for its size is it's going to have a lot of ventilation, it's going to be quieter. But, again, we don't know, but again, we don't know exactly how quieter it's going to be. See, that's the question. Now, here's the other thing about here's the other advantage that Nintendo and Sony unfortunately have right now over the Xbox One. That the Wii U, and even though we haven't seen what the console looks like yet, the PS4 have, according to what's Alpha Omega, Angry Joe, Black Nerd, and I'm sure anybody else has talked about. I even talked about this in my most recent video where I talked about the fees and the backwards compatibility. The advantage they have is exactly that. PS4 and the Wii U have backwards compatibility. They do not, that's the advantage they have over the Xbox One. They do not offer fees or ask for fees for you to play a used game. They let you play it right. They let you play it like that. They don't ask you to pay a fee. More importantly, they don't ask you to pay a fee that could possibly, and this is just a thought that a lot of people have had, possibly be close to, if not the same retail price as if you buy the game brand new in stores. Like I said in the previous video, the only redeeming grace I hope Microsoft gets with the Xbox One at E3, the only redeeming grace I hope they get is they announce that the fees are going to be between $10 to $20. It'd help. I mean, heck, I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised. I'm sure everybody else would be surprised if they just waived off the fees and said something like, "Hey, we got a lot of backlash from people about this, so we decided we're not going to do the fees." But with the exception that they would still, make people have to, but with the exception that the owners of the games that they purchase can only install the game into one Xbox One only, into their Xbox One system only, while the person that would borrow it would have to play it with the disc inside. I think that, to me, that would be fair. I think that would probably be the best thing they could do. Now the other thing, like I said, is they're not allowing for backwards compatibility. Now again, just like I mentioned with the fees, and I'm sorry if I'm a little off right now, I just woke up a little while ago, I'm trying to drink some coffee, wake me up. The only other thing I can think of that they could be, that would be in the same vein, if you will, as what I just mentioned, is if they also mentioned about the backlash they got for not having backwards compatibility, it may be announced that they're going to fix that on all the Xbox Ones and thus allow for backwards compatibility to happen. That's the only saving grace I can really see. But again, like I said in the other previous video, when it comes to the 360 games and the original Xbox games, the other saving grace, which I think will probably be the one they go with, is if they announce that all 360 games, past and present, recently released, and all that, as well as all original Xbox games, will be available for download on the Games on Demand section of the new Xbox Live. So in other words, let's say WWE 14 or WWE 2K14 is going to be exclusively on Xbox 360 and PS3, possibly PS4 as well. But let's just say 2K14 is coming out. They could announce down the line that 2K14, let's say Xbox One was to come out around the time, and it won't, but let's say it was to come around the time as 2K14 does, WWE 2K14. They could pretty much say, okay, if you don't have an Xbox One, you can still purchase the game in stores, obviously as a physical disc, but if you have an Xbox One, guess what? Same day it's released, you can download it off Games on Demand for the Xbox One. To me, that would be the saving grace. To me, that would be one of the saving grace, and I think would probably be the more logical direction they'll go with if they don't come out and announce that the backlash they got with the announcement of no backwards compatibility, and they end up going and fixing that. But again, to me, right now, there are certain areas that I will admit PlayStation's PS4, even though we have not seen the console, and the currently in-home being happily played by and used by many families, Wii U, I have to admit, those do have the advantages over certain things. And I'm sure a lot of people over what the Xbox One has right now. And to me, I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to judge the Xbox just yet with a majority of everything else that was announced. I'm not going to judge it just yet until after E3. Because there might be more to it than just, the fact that it's not doing backwards compatibility and you got to do the fees and stuff. And again, it might be more to it than just it's going to be an all-in-one entertainment system game, all-in-one entertainment game console system. I'm going to wait until E3 to see what they have. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to agree with me on that. But